So let's
So
talk some stuff today. Let's see which you want to hit up.
yeah, so as you know, I've been in kind of a lot of circles online, and there's a huge amount of interest, obviously, in GLPs, but kind of now the broader category, peptides. I've been kind of like looking and researching this category for a better part of a year, and there was just a lot of confusion, not only on my part but a lot of people's part, because things get so blurred in this category about peptide sourcing and different platforms and what different platforms do. And so I went down kind of a big, long rabbit hole of investigation, and I wound up, trying to, I feel like I got a pretty good handle on the marketplace now and sourcing and stuff like that. And obviously I came across, we've known each other now before, and you obviously guys have kind of brought up the Asher platform. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for kind of us to talk about the category in general, because obviously you have a lot of insight into what's out there and what other platforms that are out there and how they serve different practitioners, different use cases and stuff like that. So I kind of put together a list of questions, and I figured that that would be a good way for us to kind of start the discussion and then just kind of be like an organic discussion from there. So with that, I would, my first question is, how would you describe the Asher platform, maybe in a few sentences?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, we built AsherMed to be a bolt-on medical team for wellness and fitness clinics because we saw from a back end that when we were marketing for, gym or for cryo through studios for a long time, to add medical was a $150,000 lift. You needed a medical director, you needed this, all the different compliance pieces just to be able to have one prescription. And we wanted to reinvent it. And we're not software people, so we made it way simpler because we just didn't know any better. And so we really made a simple bolt-on medical team for your business that can be launched in 48 hours.
Yeah, and actually, I will say to that point, my investigation started because I was thinking like the next evolution of our business, and for context for people who are listening. So we just finished our fourth year in business. We primarily started around non-surgical body contouring using various technologies and energies. We've had a few different pillars of our business, one being non-surgical fat reduction and skin tightening, other being what I call body optimizers, things like red light, cryotherapy, compression therapy, and so on. What we found is a lot of people came to us looking for body contouring initially because they had essentially tried everything else. Their body wasn't necessarily responding to those things, and they were thinking maybe body contouring would be able to help them with that. What we found fairly quickly was what we realized is sometimes their body wasn't necessarily ready for the contouring because something else was going on with it, right? And so eventually that turned out to be like, well, maybe we need to help people with more part of their journey. And maybe that required some things about maybe offering labs or maybe offering various peptides, possibly medical weight loss and things like that. And that's kind of how our journey started in kind of looking at this. And then from there, it was kind of like looking at the peptide space and the GLP space. It was essentially the wild, wild west. And I had to kind of figure out how to navigate it. So I totally get it because to your point, I was looking at all these different models, and now I've found probably four or five, maybe six different models in which a clinic like mine that does not have medical oversight is able to offer, peptides or peptide therapy or GLPs. And like you said, one of them is getting a medical director, getting the legal compliance, getting the medical malpractice, and in doing all those things. And you're right, it can definitely add a lot of money to any practice in order to just set any of that up.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you brought that up as I come from a brick and mortar business background. Like I own multiple gyms and wellness studios. My partners did as well. I think there's a lot of models, and maybe you'll get into this more, that there's no wrong model. I have a great friend in JP, I think he is JP at Allegra in South Florida. Like they have IVs. They're gonna need a medical director. So we may not be the best fit for them, or we could do a certain component. And so all of these models work. We work with some clinical places that they already have an NPI and a prescriptive. So there's no bad model. It's just the model that's going to fit best for your business. And we've just made ours to be for that brick and mortar wellness place or online that just doesn't want to take that full medical step of adding it all on.
Yeah, and actually another, to your point is we are also looking at bringing in-house certain medical services that will require medical director oversight and whether that be, some IVs, some injections, other medical related services like maybe radiofrequency microneedling, sort of light energies for skin improvement. So those will require some medical oversight. And, again, maybe a platform like Asher isn't the right platform for that. So we have to kind of look at, both models. But we have now, so in parallel, just for context for everyone else, we're actually doing both things in parallel. We're using the Asher platform to offer GLPs and peptides to our clients, and we're also in the process of kind of building out our own small version of like the medical oversight, so we can offer certain things in clinic.
Yeah, I mean, and oh, good. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's really, if anything, I've been very surprised with Asher because Asher was an accidental business. We originally started a patient care company that we wanted to help clinics that already had GLPs do the fitness nutrition, and they just didn't care about it. And so it kind of got reversed over time to where now we help the clinics add it on. But what surprised me is how many medical clinics, places that have an NP already, people that are doctors, have added us on because we fit just a certain segment for them. And yeah, they might have someone they want to do aesthetics on or whatever, where that's their prescriptive capability, but maybe it's their client's friend in Florida and now they have licenses in 50 states through Asher and they can help that person. Or they just don't want to do prescription care and tracking and shipping and all of those things. And so we've just taken that all off. But that's been a shock to me that people that already have medical direction are still adding us on and using it in tandem because we just hit a certain little niche in that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And in fact, I think part of it too is there the days of needing people to come in to get an injection, it seems like it's just not that important anymore. And most people are comfortable with the right guidance and direction in order to, give themselves a peptide or a medical weight loss injection. It's kind of similar to giving yourself an insulin shot. So I feel like there's a lot more people that are a lot more comfortable, and having people come in just for an injection doesn't really add a lot of value. And so I think, offloading that and allowing that to happen via telehealth can be a really good advantage for practitioners, because you don't have you don't have the overhead of maintaining that staff that's needed to do that. But you still get the benefit of offering those types of services, to your clients and patients.
Absolutely.
If you were to describe what problem the platform solves for, whether they be, unlicensed practitioners or licensed practitioners, how would you answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, it depends because everyone's pain point's different. If you're unlicensed, you don't have access to medications right now, or you have access to some very gray things online. And so the goal for us is to create a medical team for you. We want your client to walk in and feel like you have a comprehensive medical experience. And so that's part of your business now that we've added onto it. And you have our doctor on your website if need be. We reach out as your care team. And so we handle all that. Now, if you're a medical business and you're already doing a lot of these things, the benefit is we do all the patient care 7 days a week. If that patient gets nauseous from a GLP-1 on Sunday night, they can text our patient care line. We will escalate it, send Zofran if needed. We do all that. It's no longer on you. But the other aspect is we're taking on essentially the medical liability on this. So you don't necessarily have to carry malpractice insurance for these clients, but we're also tracking all prescriptions, renewals, all of these things are done on our platform so that really it's the first transaction. And then your focus is taking care of the patient, connection, communication, just loving on them. Anything medical, we handle and take off your plate. And so it just creates a lot of freedom.
Yeah, and I hopefully we'll kind of touch about how the Asher platform is maybe different, like a different model than some of these other platforms in
Mhm.
the category. But I wanted to touch on one thing, is there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace, and I think on purpose by a lot of the people who are selling this stuff. But I like to call, I like to categorize peptides into two classifications generally: non-pharmacy and pharmacy. And in the non-pharmacy, bucket is essentially kind of labs, aka labs. They're not really, most of these sites are not really labs. They're either getting their, peptides from China or from a US lab, but they're not labs themselves. They're just resellers. And so I bucket them into pharmacy sourced and non-pharmacy sourced. And there's a lot of confusion because there's a lot of sales reps that maybe rep for a pharmacy, but also rep for the non-pharmacy, and they're blending it together when they're approaching, uh, you know, practices like my own. So from an Asher platform, it's my experience is you guys are sourcing exclusively from one or more 503A pharmacies, right?
Yes, and just a backstory for everyone watching this, because to your point, we've looked at research only peptides because there is a demand for it, and I don't want to throw stones at some of the reputable labs. The issue for us is our mission is to bridge medical and wellness, and because we provide patient care 7 days a week, if they need to escalate to our doctor, we could not go down the route with research only because our doctor is not going to give advice. They're not going to write off on something that they can't even see what's inside of it, essentially. And so for some people out there, like if that's what you want, that's fine. It is a crapshoot, and there are probably better companies than others, but we just decided being medical and having that, it wasn't worth it for us to do it. And guys, there was money to be made in it, to be honest. But the whole point was the liability and risk, not only to our company, but to you as a partner. Like Mike, if we send something to one of your people and they get sick, they get injured, they die, that's about on your business. And so we just weren't willing to take that risk with our 500 plus partners. And so that was just a decision we made. But there are people out there that are doing it, and that's totally on you, but just do your homework.
Right, right. Yeah, I've actually written a complete like blog article. This was from my own personal experience being hit up by all these different reps or providers or people who claimed that they were pharmacies, but they weren't pharmacies. And I had to do a whole bunch of research, and I decided to write an article about how to determine if somebody if somebody that you were talking was repping for an actual pharmacy or repping for, a non-pharmacy, a lab or something like that. And I'm not, and just like you, I'm not discounting the ability to get high quality peptides from non-pharmacies. I think that that is possible, but as a practice, yeah, I don't want to subscribe to that as a practice to work with our clients because I definitely want the proper medical oversight. And I think, for our business, sourcing only from legitimate pharmacies for, our clients and patients is the way to go. And so that's why I like Asher because it's very cut and dry, very clear. It's like we're only getting peptides from an actual 503 pharmacy.
Well, and something just interesting to think about is like, okay, you might say, because yes, research only, I mean, you're buying powder from who knows where. It might be 20 or $30 cheaper for a vial, but the one lawsuit in a year or two for 500,000, was it worth it? And I think that's just the big thing is it's the peace of mind knowing that you're doing something that's going to go back on the doctor, they can support it. And the other point for everyone, and we talked about this before, Mike, even pharmacies. We've probably partnered and vetted with over 40 pharmacies in the past year, and out of them, the amount that couldn't provide certificates of authenticity, show us where their APIs came from, we're unlicensed, and we can do everything. Guys, it's the Wild West out there, and so we spend a lot of time vetting, and then that's not even counting now. Can they get pricing? Can they get fulfillment and shipping on time so your patient's not waiting 2 weeks? So just know, guys, even just because someone's a pharmacy doesn't always mean that you're getting the best stuff, and so you really have to do your diligence.
Yeah. Well, and I'm still a little bit confused because I've been hearing now from a couple of sources that there's pharmacies offering retatrutide, and as far as I know, that's not possible yet in a true like from a 503 pharmacy. It used to be under like IND, but not anymore. So it's still even to this day, after all of the research I've done, it's still confusing. Like, how in the world is an actual legitimate 503A pharmacy doing it, and are they doing it under their pharmacy license, or are they doing it through some sort of partnership with like a non-pharmacy or a lab? I don't. It's super confusing. Um, so would you say that there's a specific target audience for the Azure platform?
It's really kind of surprised us how it's expanded. I come from a fitness background. That was just my passion was I know trainers and coaches out there love and care about their people so much. And I've gotten to see that expand in the cryo space as well. But really, it's anyone who's passionate about helping take care of people but also like would rather just focus on that connection because at the end of the day, we wanted to provide the medical to people who could provide the habit change, the coaching, the things that are necessary because peptides and GLPs are just one tool in the toolbox, but they're not going to build the whole house. And so I think that was the issue we saw in our marketing agency is we helped over 1,000 clinics launch GLP-1 programs. and most of them were just pill mills. And I mean, and for anyone watching, if that's you, that's great. That's just not our mission. Our mission is to see transformation. Like we have a wins chat in our Slack channel for our team where our partners, just like you, Mike, are sharing patient testimonials and wins. And that's our fire. We love that. We're mission driven on that. And so if you have that same mission and you want to help more people, like we want to help you out. If you just want to become the next hims or hers online, like we're probably not the best match for you.
Right. I'll, reiterate that too, is like we've seen, I mean, I don't even know how many people that we've seen over the last kind of couple of years who've been essentially gone to pill mills, whether that be either in our community or online, and they're trading one issue for another. We see it all the time. Like I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have either had done medical weight loss or done gastric bypass or done, other surgical procedures to help lose weight. And then they trade one issue for the other because they didn't have the right coaching. So I definitely agree with you. I feel like these types of platforms are best suited for practitioners or people that can really help the client, along with the journey, like to make sure that they're giving them the right guidance. Now, for us, it's a good fit because we have, probably the largest selection of aesthetic and wellness, like I like to call them optimizers, but services under a single roof that can help people with their journey, whether it's muscle stimulation, whether it's lymphatic drainage, whether it's skin tightening or fat reduction in certain areas. I mean, people that have come to us that haven't done any of that, they're trading issues. They've got saggy skin, they've got folds on their body where they didn't have before. I've had female clients come in who've had medical weight loss with their arms, and they said, I loved my arms when they were more full, and now they're just flapping around. And so we're trying to help them, but sometimes they come too late in the process. So we're really trying to bundle everything we're doing with our services so we can help them throughout the entire journey. And that obviously includes, nutrition and hydration and activity too, as well.
Well, and something that's interesting is, we when we first started this, we did what a lot of people did. We looked at some of the bigger medical direction companies and maybe we were trying to use their network. But the biggest issue we found is most of the doctors, I know there's some great ones out there, but most of the doctor networks we worked with, they just didn't care. They were the ones that say, "Oh yeah, you're overweight. Here's a GLP." And so we've been really blessed to have our chief medical officer, Dr. Krista Broussard, who has lost 100 pounds on her own. She's got in bodies in all her facilities. She's a business owner. She gets it, but is super passionate about hormonal weight loss and doing it right. And for instance, we have a space in our portal where you could upload in bodies to that and say, "Hey, here's my body fat percentage." And if she sees your lean body mass decreasing too much, she'll cut your dose of a GLP-1 because she's trying to do the final outcome, not the immediate result. And we're so blessed to have that and have alignment on that. And so we're trying to do it as good as can be done because you can do damage with these drugs, just like any other medication.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's been kind of eye-opening a little bit too, because weight loss isn't just weight loss, right? Weight loss, our body is made up of a lot of components that make up weight, right? Obviously, fat being one of them, but muscle being another one, and and our bone mass and things like that. And so we've seen very regularly people on either some of our natural GLP stuff or some of the medical stuff come in, and they might be 2 pounds heavier. And then the initial reaction, which is the visceral reaction we all have when we look at a scale, which is, oh my God, I'm 2 pounds heavier. And you have that immediate reaction, like, what's not working? But then we realize, we look at the body composition analysis, and it says, you've increased your muscle mass by 2 pounds and you've gone up in all the good markers and down in all the bad markers, which is a good thing, right? So we try not to look at the number on the scale at all because we really want to look at the markers. But to your point, again, it's really important that during this journey, we're looking at those markers and we're making sure people are having healthy weight loss and not unhealthy weight loss, not trading one issue for another.
Absolutely. Well, and that's a big thing for us is we're dedicated to trying to create that awareness. We're in the process of doing integration with InBody just because they have an API that we're connecting to. So anyone who has an InBody at some point will be able to upload their patient data directly to our portal. And the big thing for us is from a business background, like we've had brick and mortars. We want people still attached to the clinic. If you have a brick and mortar, we want them excited to come in for an InBody, excited to come see your staff. And so we don't want this to shift to 100% telehealth if you have that building because we want them to love on you. And that's a great way to connect them.
Yeah, and actually, that's one of the changes for our 2026 program is we are going to require that, a 1 or 2 visits a month to come in and to do a check-in and to do a body comp and things like that so we can like monitor people. Because we don't want to be that just we're providing medications to them. We just don't, there's a lot of places that people can do that and we don't want to be that. So if people don't want to do that with us, they can, find another provider, which is totally okay. Everyone has their priorities. So for us, we want to make sure we're part of that entire journey, making sure that they're doing it healthy. So,
Well, Mike, can I real quick just touch on that? Just to think outside the box for everyone watching, because while I love InBody, may not everyone may not have a couple thousand. There's an online nutrition coach we're working with who's really talented, and so he sells a $1,500 to $2,500 package nationwide. But the minute you sign up with him, he has an Amazon cart that goes through. He sends it's a $25 body composition scale, but he sends it to them. It shows up on their door the day before the prescription. And the whole time they're tracking their body fat daily. And it's not as accurate, but it's at least consistent to watch that lean body mass loss. And I just thought that was so genius of what a great way to educate your staff and over deliver. And it costs you nothing. So for those of you out there who maybe like, I can't get an InBody, do something just to make sure you're getting being educated and held accountable on that.
well, and actually to that point, 2 things. One is when we were looking at body composition as well, I was looking at like Evolt and N bodies and all that other stuff. And they were just like very expensive. And I didn't really know as a practice, how those would add that much value, comparative to their price to our practice, because we weren't going to be able to charge for something like that. So I actually wound up finding, I found a kind of a more personalized version of it from a medical company overseas, from a company called Medner. Ours was like $500 and it gives us all the exact same metrics as an InBody does, probably just as accurate too. And we've been using that for the last couple of years. We may upgrade to something different at a different time, but these body composition scales are getting highly accurate. And I forget the brand name, but there's one that we're looking at that has a whole entire ecosystem that's available for providers. It's not InBody, but it's a consumer-based body scan that actually is about as accurate as anything else on the market, even comparative to DEXA scans. So we're looking at that as well as being able to do just like that guy did, is basically offer those scales to our clients and patients so that they can track their results at home. And then we would be able to see those results too, because the best way, I mean, we obviously want them to come in and use the other services, but the best way to measure yourself is daily, right? So that you can track your progress on a regular basis and the ebbs and flows. So we're definitely looking at being able to offer that to our clients and patients as well. So generally speaking, there's different models for these telehealth, telemed platforms. There's some affiliate-based models, and I don't categorize you into the affiliate-based model. Could you describe maybe a little bit about how a practitioner uses the AssureMed platform, and then maybe contrasting it after with some of the other models that are available, and maybe how you see Assure being a better fit, or maybe a better tool for practitioners?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, when we built it, we came back to we've been brick and mortar wellness businesses. I've probably done thousands of wellness consults, weight loss consults. And so like we understand that sales is challenging sometimes. And I think there's this weird level of you're already getting them to step into something uncomfortable. Maybe they're new to medical, maybe they're new to your facility, they don't trust you yet. And then to sit there and say, well, hey, I'm going to charge you this much on this card transaction here. And then I'm going to charge you again over here for this for our medical side. It just felt incongruent. And it also just didn't feel as professional. It was no different than me saying, hey, go to hims.com and put this code in. Like it just felt weird. And so we really wanted to figure out a way of how do we build the most value into it. And so we really built our platform from that perspective of we want to escalate the business. We don't want your patients to know who Asher is. They're the care team. We want them to know you and escalate your brand. And so that's the difference in us is a client walks in from whatever marketing you're doing, they see you and they sign up for, say, a 12-week transformation program with red light therapy, GLP-1s, peptides, whatever it is. You have your package, which we do help with, but it's really your package. You swipe their credit card, and then you go to our portal and you begin the intake process. And once they begin the intake process, which is all white labeled to you, they become a patient. And really, you're essentially done on that point. Like we will do the medical, you do your part. But we didn't want it to be this weird thing where like they became our patient now and then like we're taking all the money. Like, no, you're going to see everything. Now, that being said, someone's going to ask, where does this come in compliance? And we have we have a very expensive legal team that has really helped us to do this. So our portal automatically detects what state they're in. Every state has different CPOM laws, which is corporate practice of medicine. And so in some of our states, the client will have to put like a $10 or $20 transaction into the actual form itself, which just goes directly to the doctor. And this it's only $10 or $20, but the idea is this keeps you super compliant from the state boards. The other reason this is super important for you guys, though, is what I don't want is, Mike, you're charging $3,000 for your 12-week program, and then your person sees $300 for medication. When it starts becoming itemized and what the pricing is, they're like, well, I don't want that. I don't want this. Versus, no, this is the comprehensive program. And then for anyone who doesn't understand, our portal, once that person's medication is shipped, Asher then bills your card on file for the medication, for the doctor's visit, and for the shipping all on the back end. And it's very relatively good pricing because we have almost 6,000 patients. So our buying power is a lot better than most people can get. And so it's typically cheaper than what you're getting, even if you have a pharmacy relationship now.
Yeah, and actually to that point, I've been using the Azure platform now for a few months personally through, for our clients. And I've actually and I get pharmaceutical reps, these reps from pharmacies, non-pharmacies, and stuff like that, shooting us their price lists all the time. And I've done comparison, checkpoints here and there, and so far, the pricing on Azure has been pretty competitive. I mean, if not in most cases less expensive or at least at par, and these are even from direct pharmacy prices as well. So to your point, I've definitely seen that firsthand myself.
Well, and again, it comes back to us having been in business. Like, to me, I want to make sure that you're doing this and you're profitable. Like, all of our goals are in alignment. Like, Asher wants you to grow so we can grow. I've worked with companies in the past where it's like you're getting a little affiliate kickback. So they charge $500, and then you get a check in the mail for 50 or 100 versus, no, you're striped. It's your thing. You see how you grow. And we don't want this to be a huge cost in your program. So you can, some people out there want to charge less, or maybe their sales skills aren't as great. And so maybe they do need to do a 299 a month or something like that. You should still be profitable on that. Like, that's the whole point of business, is to be profitable. And so if you can't do that, then we're not helping you.
Right. So just to kind of recap, me as a practitioner, whether I'm a medical practitioner or not practitioner, I create a bundle of services that include maybe nutrition or fitness, or in our case might be body contouring or optimizers or things like that. I bundle in some medication pricing based on kind of what the bundle is. If it's aesthetics, maybe I'm doing GLPs. If it's, wellness related, maybe it's, a different peptide for wellness related stuff. So I bundle all that together. I sell it to my client. I collect the money, and then we facilitate the onboarding, through of the meds through the Asher Med platform. I go and put an order in. I say it's for semaglutide or tirzepatide or whatever it is. And then the Asher Med platform really handles the rest of it. So the flow all, basically gets triggered and managed by the Asher Med platform. And then the clients they go through a medical intake, like a official medical intake, gets approved, goes to the pharmacy, and everything goes direct to patient. And then all that communication from the platform to the client is basically all through the Asher Med platform.
Yep. And just again, guys, we want to elevate your company. So when we reach out, we're not saying, "Hey, this is the Asher team." Hey, it's, "Hey, this is Dr. B, who's who's your chief medical officer now too. You can have her on your website." But it's also like, we're just the care team. We're just there to elevate you. And the awesome thing is, if someone walks into your facility and is like, "Hey, I got a medical question," you can pull out your cell phone and text the care team right then and there. And it's like, "Hey, let's text the care team." And it's not anything that's not your brand. And so I think that's just really important because we want to build you guys up. We want to make you guys look better.
Right. So actually, this is slightly a side question, but you had mentioned that we can put Dr. B on our website as basically being the kind of the medical director for our peptide side. That I didn't know that, so that's actually kind of good news for other people to understand. Like, Dr. B really isn't your official medical director, where you could use that medical director in another platform like a pharmacy or something like that. There's Dr. B is specifically for the peptides that we are ordering through the platform.
Medical director. And so we actually have a little thing of text you can grab from our community that says what you can say, but she is overseeing any of your patients that are on GLPs and medical weight loss and peptides. But yeah, you're not going to start doing aesthetics under her. She's not going to write off your Myers bag for your IVs. That is not her scope that she wants to be in. but it
Mhm.
does give it's nice to be able to give a name to who's overseeing your patients. If they're like, who is she? They can look her up. She's been on the doctors, Dr. Phil, like she's ran multiple practices. And so we really wanted to find someone that was the best in the space that could really be in alignment with us and who we assume our partners would be as well. And there's no reason to hide that. There's no reason to keep that from your patients.
Gotcha. And to contrast the Asher flow, which is we're the entity of record for our client experience, right? We're interacting with our clients, we're selling them, we're collecting their money, we're kind of managing. It's obviously different than some of the other models out there, and probably the most kind of well-known telehealth platform that is allowing practitioners and people to earn money from peptides and GLPs is LEMD, and there's a few others that are like that in the marketplace, but there's a lot of like kind of brand partners out there promoting LEMD. How would you contrast, an LEMD model, which is affiliate based, to like an Asher platform?
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm going to be first to say I've never gone through Ellie's full process. I don't want to speak too out of hand there, but from what I understand of it, it's set up very similar to I'm going to use the terrible term, but it's very similar to like an MLM where you're setting up as an affiliate. You're going to push someone to their website, to their products to do, and you might be able to create a dashboard or a portal, but they are going to LEMD doing their processing, their credit card transaction. And so if you were going to sell a program, it's going to have to be a separate transaction. They're going to see LEMD on their credit card, things like that. And then they're going to write you a check for a percentage of revenue on the back end. And so you'll get a check in the mail or direct to your affiliate account of that. And so, I mean, again, that model works. It's worked for affiliate marketing for, 20, 30 years in the Herbalife space and all those. To me, it doesn't, if you're trying to go high ticket, if you're trying to have that authority, it just seems very, very off. And that's just not the build that we want to do. Again, it works for a lot of people, so I don't want to discount it, but that was just not the way that we wanted to go for our business owners.
Yeah, so yeah, and I definitely have interacted with a lot of people who are affiliates of LEMD, and it's a model that I looked at as well. But again, me giving a link to a third party website that's branded third party, and having that transaction, go through that platform, it doesn't feel like the congruent experience that I want to create for my practice. But again, I know a lot of people that are using it and are finding value in it, especially just even for their patients or clients that are using it to source peptides. It's completely, outsourced. It does make it easy. They get a check on the back end, so it works for them. I think maybe my only criticism of platforms like that is if they incentivize people to bring on other people in order to get more money in the downstream. I mean, I understand, we're all capital, most of us are capitalists and, like to earn money. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people are spending more time trying to build their downstream than actually use it for their own clients and patients. I know there's different models, but I feel like it's a little bit a better package for me to kind of build it all together and sell it to my clients. Although I will say maybe, one pro of using a platform like that could be, I don't really have to do much work, right? So for people who don't want to do that much work and just really want to offload all that onto another platform, that kind of platform could work well for them because they just don't have to do any work. They give them a link and then they do all the all the telehealth through a different platform.
Well, Mike, you've been on enough calls with me to know like I have a passion for marketing and sales. Like that's where I speak at CryoCon every year on those things. But I think the thing that's really been interesting with the way we built Asher is very agnostic. We've really come up with here is this tool that is reasonably priced enough that you can run it however you want. So, for instance, we have our client in California. He's got a facility in Irvine. He's literally using our pricing, and I don't recommend this for most of you, but he's using our pricing on GLPs, which is super competitive, getting anyone out there that's on GLPs to switch to him. He makes zero money, but he's using that model to then upsell them to higher end peptides. And he can set his own pricing, so he can do whatever he wants. He's even said he's to the point where he might take a loss on the GLP-1 and make it a loss leader. And he's like, yeah, I might pay an extra 10 bucks, but I'm willing to do that in order to get that. You can do that however you want with Asher. We've given you that ability. Same thing if you want to charge $5,000 for a 12-week GLP-1 program, it's really up to you and your market. And so we wanted to give everyone the tools to do it. So we have clients doing monthly programs. We have clients doing 12-month transformations, 6 weeks. You can really set it up however you want. And so to your point, Mike, everyone's business is different. Some people don't want to sell. So maybe you've got a recovery membership for 199 and you're like, you know what? For $49 more a month, we'll add a semaglutide in there. Like you can do that. The cost is still there on the back end, and we can get anyone that information if they want. But we wanted to give you that flexibility to not have to be like, hey, go on this website and then hope that they go home and do it or hope that it happens. And then lastly, for those of you who are nerds, and I personally am a nerd, Mike, I know you're a nerd because we've hung out before. I want to know what's going on. And so everyone with Asher signs a BAA. You are a partner in this. And what that means is it's a business associates agreement. You have access to patient information. You can see the doctor's notes. You can see their intake forms, their labs, any of that stuff. Now, obviously, you got to work within your capacity and scope. But if you are a medical provider and you know how to read labs, or maybe you have red light and you see someone's got a vitamin D deficiency, well, that might be a good suggestion you can help give in there. And so there's so many different ways to do that if you want. If you don't want to be in that thing, you don't have to. But we really wanted to give this as a tool that anyone can use in whatever way they want within their business.
Yeah, to that point, there are a lot of the affiliate models. They don't expose PHI or PII to to the affiliates. Not promoting Ellie here, but I do understand that in their model somehow they're offering at least PII, so they know who's actually ordering. But in other platforms, like I know there's Altura Health and I know there's Leg Up RX, and which is relatively new to the market. They don't provide that information. So as a practice, if you're using those models, that's something to keep in mind. You get an affiliate link, you get a landing page on that site, and then people may order and you get a kickback, but you maybe don't know exactly who ordered or what they ordered. So you're kind of flying blind. Your patient or your client may come back to you and say, oh yeah, I placed my order and I got my GLPs, and then but not all of them do that. So just, for anyone who's listening, that particular model does potentially have some cons depending on which platform, that you use. Now, but I do want to ask one question, because you had just talked about that use case with that practitioner in California. It's my understanding that you can't just sell peptides and mark them up. Is
Correct.
that correct?
This is in pharmacy across the board. You cannot put on your website in your facility, hey, I've got 100 milligrams of NAD plus for 299. That is, if you're doing that and there is a markup, that is fee splitting. Now, will you get caught for it? I don't know. I mean, that's the whole thing with this. Can you put it on a Facebook ad? Yes, no. It's always a gray area. But one of the things that is super important, guys, is every one of you is offering a program. Now, that could be as simple as here is BPC 157 and TB 500, and here's an anti-inflammatory diet to help reduce some of the inflammation. But just by providing that resource, you've turned that into a program. And so you're no longer charging just for the medication. And this is an important distinction. I see this I'm in a lot of the same groups you are, Mike, where the amount of people are like, oh my God, Eli Lilly dropped the price. How am I going to have my price here? Create a program, give them more than just the medication. But yes, to your point, you do not want to be doing fee splitting. You do not want to be charging just for medication. So even the guy in California, Cam, his program, he's still got a personal training studio and fitness and resources to go with it. But the other thing for everyone on here is when you only are a commodity, when you're a medication price for price, they're always going to go and find online, whatever it is, and they're going to beat it. But when you have all the resources they need, now it becomes stupid. Why not do it for $50 more? I have everything that's going to help me on my journey.
Right, right, exactly. And we as practitioners or people who want to help people with their journeys, we have to decide what our client base is, right? If our client base is those who are looking to buy a 10-pack kit from China and, and be it real cheap, then, that's not our demographic. Let's see. So I had a couple other questions. Coverage. You guys cover all 50 states?
All 50 states. So yeah, we did. It was a huge legal lift to get there, but honestly, just from a marketing standpoint, it was way easier to say we do all 50. But the big thing that's beneficial about that is you're not stuck by your zip code anymore. So if you've had a facility in South Dakota and your person moves and you want to launch an online program where you're giving some sort of resources and support and then get them as a patient, you can do that. And so we really want to give that capacity to everyone everywhere.
Okay, so you mentioned something that I know is somewhat controversial. So the Asher platform does offer some peptides, and some of those peptides are listed on the FDA's Category 2 list. Like one of the most common one that I've seen is BPC 157, TB 500. Do you have any insight that you can share with whoever's listening about peptides that are on the category 2 list and maybe how that is still okay to be offered through a pharmacy?
So this is a huge debatable topic. So yes, you're opening a can of worms here. I will say this.
I mean, somebody's going to ask. I
Yeah, I
mean,
know you're absolutely.
everybody asks.
So this is, first of all, I want to be really clear too. Asher Med is a platform. And the
Right.
nice thing about this is everything right now goes through Dr. Christopher Broussard, our chief medical officer. And so from an actual medical standpoint, she is the one that dictates what we can and can offer because it goes under her license. And she's a total research nerd. And so that is why everything that we have, she's like, there is enough research that I feel efficacy in providing this. Which is funny because, like, for instance, retrotrutide, everyone wants retrotrutide. But we've talked to her about it, and she's like, you know what? Right now, there's not enough research that makes me feel safe with some of the side effects and things. She's like, I'm not going to put my license on the line for that. She's like, that being said, BPC 157 and TB 500, it comes from a pharmacy. It's compounded correctly. It's safe. It's good to go. Now, how the pharmacies are doing it, this has become a big issue for us. Um, Category twos, a lot of pharmacies don't want to manufacture it for a lot of reasons. One, they're not cost effective for them to compound. But two, it is one of those things where it's like it could be a line that gets shut down. They just don't know where it's at. And so that has been the challenge for us in sourcing. And so why we're always testing and vetting new pharmacies, because it is an issue that some pharmacies don't want to touch. It's going to get really interesting in the next 6 months to a year, just because we have a lot of pharmacy insiders now that we speak with. Research only peptides are going to see a huge crackdown. And you're going to see, I don't know what's going to happen with the FDA, but you're going to see a huge shift to, if you're not getting it from a 503A pharmacy, it's going to be in trouble. There's also some talk about with some of the stuff with RFK that a lot of the peptides will be getting pushed through the FDA, but it's all speculation. It's just a tough thing. So that being said, if you're going to do peptides, especially category twos, I would do them as safe and efficacy. I can't say that word today.
Efficacious.
Efficacious. That's the word I was going for. Um, I would do it that way because think about it this way. Especially if you have a license of any sort. If you're an RN, if you're an NP, and you give someone this little vial and say, "Hey, do this vial, take this," and they get sick, or it wasn't sourced, or it wasn't made the right way, that falls on you, and that's your license, and it's not worth it. And so, all that to be said, we're doing it the best we can. But yes, it is not in theory FDA compliant to do that. But there is some gray area and some wiggle room on that. But we're definitely always watching that. And that's why we have a legal team. We have people watching legislation because our business is based on it too. And we never want to do anything to put our partners at risk. And so that's why we will only offer, we don't have the giant pharmacy list that you see some of these online places have because we just can't back it up with safety.
Yeah. And actually, I had a Ask a Lawyer Zoom with a couple different lawyers that are focused on in healthcare. And you can definitely argue the point different ways. I mean, people have different perspectives of category 2. Like I've heard, some legal opinion that category 2 does not mean do not compound. It just means, hey, be careful and, make sure you've got the right liability waivers and things like that in place. But yeah, I know it's a crazy kind of wild west category. But again, to your point too, and I get this question all the time about sourcing, non-pharmacy. But the thing that I ask people, or I tell people, at least this is just my own opinion, which is what you have to ask yourself, or maybe what you should ask yourself is, if the state board of, medical board or nursing board or pharmacy board was coming to your clinic, or you were in front of them, like, and they were asking about your practices and your sourcing practices and stuff like that, like, what would how would you answer them? Because, like, they're really the regulatory bodies that you have to be concerned about. It's not the FDA, it's not the government, it's not any of that stuff. It's really your medical board. So, like, if somebody's coming and knocking on your door to do an inspection, and I've actually heard this many times over now, if you've got non-pharmacy source peptides, some states are like, nope, not happening. We're going to confiscate all of it. And they have. So even though we could fly under the radar per se, the question you have to ask yourself is, if you got visited by them, would you be in compliance, or would you be in compliance in their eyes? And I think that's an important thing for people to keep in mind. And the thing I love about the Azure platform, personally speaking, is I feel like I'm in compliance by using the platform.
Well, and something that's even, and this comes, we get this question about GLP still, because people go, how do you compound? The big thing that's different because of the way Astra is set up is we are doing 503A patient specific. So we are only giving people something that's specific. And so, especially on peptides, there's not really a commercial alternative that exists for what we're putting the prescription in for. So that is part of this, that everything is patient specific. So even on trizepatide, semaglutide, we're not doing the standard Eli Lilly prescription. This is a patient specific prescription from Dr. Broussard. And so that's a big thing. And then the other one is just making sure that everything, like to your point, can I go back and say, hey, this stuff was sourced? Like if you're ordering online, do you really have any idea about sourcing? And so like these are just the things you want to check off in your own head. And then making sure that the pharmacies you're working from are state board licensed. Do they have the right standards? All of these little things. Um, Keep in mind too, category two just means the ingredients are allowed. It just doesn't mean that they're not approved. So that's the other thing that we kind of had to learn. But for anyone who's ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean, like the first one, I love when they're like the Pirates Code, and it's like they're more like guidelines. Like it is gray depending on what state you go to. And so I would just say to your point, be as compliant as you possibly can be. Just it's not worth it for your business, for your patients, for anything to go off that.
So a couple last things, and then we're coming up on our hour mark. So I don't want to keep this too long for people. But I did actually have a conversation with um, a doctor who does stem cell therapy, and he has a fairly large practice. I mean, he's probably bringing in 4 million a year, and he's definitely looking at doing other peptides and GLPs and stuff like that. But his question really is, for me to add something to my practice, it has to have a significant impact. Like he doesn't care about making an extra $100,000 a year, right? He's doing 4 million a year, and he cares about adding 1 million a year to his business. I mean, I think when I was even talking to him, he was like, if it was like even a 500,000, it probably wasn't that interesting to him, which is fascinating. But hey, everyone's different.
Everyone.
So, is that a good, is from a fit standpoint with the Azure platform, is that a good fit for a practice that's doing completely separate stuff, doing like rocking it out, but then want to add peptides, but they don't necessarily want to build a whole business around it in order to be able to do it? Is Azure Med a good fit in that use case?
I think so. So I'll give you an example. We have a really large IV company that we're working with that they're multi-state. They're known for IV therapy. There you have nurses that go out, it's mobile. And so we're working with them. Now we have simplified the process for them. They're literally just reaching out to their patients and saying, hey, we have this program. It's monthly. Are you interested in adding it on? And so they offer that and they've done very, very well with it. But it was a very simple thing of the trust was there. It was literally an email campaign. For anyone who's a bigger customer out there, we can do custom APIs and integrations, which we did with them. So like it's all through their site, through their portal. We're just the back end behind it. And it's been
Mm-hmm.
awesome for them because they're not having to do any patient care. That stem cell doctor does not want to answer questions about nausea for a GLP-1. Like that is outside of what
Right.
he wants to deal with. And that's where a lot
Exactly.
of providers are coming to us because they can add 300, 500, $600 a month or even more to their packages easily, and it's no work off their back. And so that's something where it might work for him. The other thing that's really interesting is to stem cells, and I've worked in the non-surgical pain space. There's so much research coming out, not just with BPC 157 to TV 500, but even with like microdosing trizepatide for anti-inflammation and stuff that these people will come on these things and they'll probably stay on them longer than they ever will do their stem cell treatment. So you might get a patient for an initial hit of stem cells for 5 grand, but they might stay as a trizepatide patient or a BPC 157 patient for 6, 7 months after. And the lifetime value of that person is huge. And now they're still referring, they're still coming into your clinic. And so I don't think you can look at it in just a one time, like, oh, that one GLP was 399. It's the whole lifetime value of the customer that changes. And it just makes you become the trusted source for everything.
Right. So, with the things that you have in place and with the platform, could a practice fully automate offering the various kind of peptides to the platform?
So this is a kind of a thing we've debated a lot. So if you, as you know, Mike, we have a whole dev team. We're always doing tech, but we have really tried to like stay in our lane of just making the platform better. So we have a couple trusted partners that do automations and building things that you're welcome to go talk to. And everyone in their niche is a little different. But yeah, you can use a platform like Go High Level and other things to send out these emails and links. But really, you could do it relatively simple. I mean, there's ways to automate it and do it. There are some larger partners where we'll put our dev team to help partner up with you and put it into your software. But again, it's really up to you. But yeah, there's no reason you couldn't because you're not having to act as a medical provider. And it comes back to
Right.
your business model. I like to sell high ticket. I like to have huge transformation packages. You're probably going to need to have a conversation with someone or do a webinar. But if you're just going to do a lower ticket monthly like the IV company was doing, there's no reason you couldn't have a landing page, a form, ask a few pre-qualifiers to make sure there's no contraindications, and then have them go through our portal the same way they would on any other online retailer.
Cool. I know. So maybe people who are listening to this, they're wondering, is there a cost, right? And we haven't even touched on that right now. So could you kind of tell a little bit about? I have a special landing page and a special offer for people to waive the sign up fee. But could you tell a little bit about what the typical prices are and both sign up and monthly, and then I can kind of share with people what the special is.
Yeah, guys. So really simply, we do a $2,000 setup fee. It's 1997, so it's more marketing, and then it's 297 a month. It's funny as we recently polled all our mastermind. We had a meetup, and everyone said they thought it was a scam because they were like, "Well, I was paying $900 a month to a medical director," and it's like, no, it's just 297 a month, and then whatever medication that's shipped out, you get billed for that on the back end.
Gotcha. And then with my landing page and offer, with people sign up for the demo through that landing page, they get the 1997 completely waived. So it's basically a zero setup fee. Why are you
Yeah,
laughing?
we might have made a mistake on that one, Mike, but yes, that is your deal. So if you guys get
Am
it,
I
you have
am
a
I
pretty
am
good
I
gig.
sending too many people through that
Oh, you're
page?
fine.
Sorry about that.
Was early. We weren't quite growing as fast. Now we're like, dope, but it works. And everyone you sent has been awesome because they're educated. That's the biggest thing is we want people that are coming in that are passionate.
All right, cool. Well, hey, we're on our hour mark, but I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to kind of share, or I think we covered it all?
No, that's good. If anyone wants to follow more, I mean, I'm on Instagram, Justin Lesh. I love this industry. I love helping people, and I love seeing that how all of you guys are out there helping bridge medical and wellness, and that's our mission as well.
Cool. And I'm going to leave wherever I post this, I'll just leave my landing page link in the post so that people can sign up for a demo and check out the platform.
Sounds good, Mike. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Bye.